everybody, welcome to our coverage of, I want to call it Video Game Weekend in LA, because there's this thing going on now with the Game Awards and with the PlayStation Experience happening in the same weekend. I feel like it needs a name for the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, like Epic Mancation.
No hate for the lady gamers out there, because we've seen a good bit of those.
I'm just speaking about it because it's just me and Nathan.
And
are both men.
Yes.
And we went on a vacation.
Manly men. And we went on vacation to Video Game Weekend in Los Angeles. Zeke mentioned it, but my name is Nathan Story. This is Zeke Leonard.
I'm Zeke Leonard.
You're watching Save Your Game. And we thought we would just sit down and tell you a little bit about what we saw at each of the events that we attended, being the two events of Video Game Weekend, the Game Awards, as well as the PlayStation Experience, including the super special early bird Friday night PlayStation living room discussion, which is what I'm calling that.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a press conference.
Nope.
It was a
Don't say that word.
Do not. How dare you? It was a lovely little chit chat with some developers and some bigwigs at PlayStation. So,
yeah.
Without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start by talking about what we saw at the Game Awards, which happened Thursday night. Microsoft Theater in downtown LA, which was really cool.
It was very cool.
And
my first time being there.
Yeah. I went to a conference there last year, so I've been in the space before, but this is the first time we'd ever attended the Game Awards. And it was really surreal to see these things in person, first and foremost. It was really, really cool, because I've watched them live for the last few years. And yeah, so it was a pretty big crowd. Started with a little bit of a pre-show, and then it had a long show, 2.5 to 3 hours.
3 hour long show. It was hefty.
Of reviews and presenters, not reviews, reveals, presenters, and then awards, of course, as the name would suggest there would be.
And also they did the thing that we very much are a fan of, is where they also have kind of inducted someone into the Video Game Hall of Fame, where they honor someone who, with like a Lifetime Achievement Award of someone who has given a lot to the video game industry, or who was very an integral part to video games becoming what they were, and that was really awesome. So, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, once we get to it. We're using a list here that we found, a recap list from Destructoid. If you want to check that out, they did a really good job of putting these things together. And yeah, without further ado, should we get into it?
Sure. Yeah.
First thing we have here is.
Well, I'd like to say the first thing they started with is they put together what they call the Game Awards Symphony. And it was orchestra. And it was a pretty full orchestra. I mean, how many people? You say it's like a 30-piece orchestra?
Right, and a classical orchestra plus. Like it was actually an orchestra plus, because they had some electric guitars, some electric cello.
There was a girl playing an electric cello. Yeah. There was a guy playing an electric guitar. There was a guy playing a bass guitar, and they had a drummer. The drummer was fantastic. I really enjoyed him.
He was really good.
Kind of looked like an older dude, had a big old beard, looked like he was like ZZ Top's drummer or something. But man, he was pounding. He was getting it.
He's pounding those drums.
Yeah. They opened up. What was I'm not even sure what the melody was that they played. So
here's the thing with the orchestra. They went really fast. I didn't recognize one piece in the first.
Yeah, it was like a speed melody. Not melody. What's the word? Medley. Speed medley.
Speed medley. Not to be confused with speed metal. Medley.
Speed medley.
They did a Super Mario Odyssey song at the end, which was cool. And then they did a couple other things throughout the show. But the first medley was lightning round.
Yeah.
It seemed like, so I have no
it was
idea
very quick. I mean, I must have been like a 3-minute performance, and boom, they were done and went right into the awards. The first thing they started off with is there's a World War Z game coming. Kind of looked it looked really intense from what I remember. Lots of those like liquid hordes of zombies kind of piling up on top of each other like they did in the movie. Lots of them like coming at you where you're just like mowing them down with a machine gun, and they're just like falling on top of each other.
Right.
And it looked really intense. They kind of showed like parts, which I'm sure are going to be key parts in the game, where there's a large hangar door that's closing extremely slowly, and you're just trying to hold off the horde until it gets closed.
As one does in all these zombie games.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so I came on, I was watching it, and I thought, we didn't get a chance to sit together. We didn't think about this, but we bought our tickets separately. And the PlayStation Experience is this cool thing where you can get in for a little cheaper to the Game Awards. but we did that separately, and so we ended up on opposite ends of the auditorium.
Right.
So we got a different view to the show. But I was watching it and I was thinking, is this a Days Gone thing, or is this a Heezy, or Mode, or State of Decay? I think State of Decay is an Xbox exclusive, but wasn't sure if it was a console version of H1Z1, which I refer to as Heezy, or because there's so many zombie games these days.
There are.
But yeah, I mean, this didn't look bad.
No, I didn't think it looked bad.
It looked cool. It did have the...
It looked very alpha, like the graphics were a little rough around the edges, but it looked good. I thought it looked good.
Right. So World War Z, of course, Max Brooks' novel, that was made into a movie starring Brad Pitt a number of years ago, and now it seems a little late for this to be happening.
True.
Right? It seems like this should have happened the year the movie came out.
Right.
Anything.
I don't know. It seems like when video games try to do tie-ins, and they do the tie-in that doesn't really seem to have anything to do with the movie, the game kind of ends up better.
Yeah.
Think about like the Mad Max game.
Right.
Didn't really seem to have anything to do with the movie. Didn't really have it come out with the new movie, and you just finished that game and thought it was great.
I thought it was fantastic.
I'm looking forward to playing it soon. So
yeah. That was inspired by how well the movie did, probably, but like you said, a little far removed from when Fury Road, the last Mad Max movie, came out.
Right.
What else did we see? We saw the reveal of follow-up from the Job Simulator studio.
Right.
Job Simulator was a VR game that I never played, but a lot of people seem to love.
I've heard it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's really
I think
funny.
the premise is, you're in the future, and I think you are a robot, and robots are basically telling you the history of what humans used to do, and you're like in an interactive hands-on museum, like when you used to go the Museum of Natural Sciences, and they would have the different things that you could do, hands-on kind of science experiment things, and I think that's kind of the premise is you're a robot, seeing what it was like to be a cashier at a gas station or something like that. And, it's very comical.
Hey, human, did you get anything down there? Nice! I haven't caught anything all day.
Right. It seems a little inspired by kind of the GLaDOS relationship from Portal.
Right.
Where you're being kind of led through this exercise that doesn't really make sense to a human, but it's a robot pulling the strings. So.
Yeah.
But more for comedic effect. GLaDOS is a little more sinister.
It was one of the best sellers when the PlayStation VR came out.
Right.
And so I think it's a pretty popular game for all of them. So those guys are following up. They said what, I think the question was asking them, why would you do it's Vacation? And they say, well, we made the last game about
next. The
work.
follow-up we haven't said yet is Vacation Simulator.
Oh, Vacation Simulator, right. And they said, well, it's a natural progression. You work and then you go on vacation.
So yeah, Vacation Simulator comes soon. A running theme for this whole weekend is we don't know exactly when we're going to see a lot of these things.
Right.
But 2018, maybe.
Yeah.
For a lot of these things. I think that's one of the things they said. Didn't have a release date for it, but they said it would be coming fairly soon.
Admittedly so. I mean, the video game landscape is a little gun shy from bad experiences with things like The Last of Us, or not The Last of Us, Last Guardian and things like that, where
and even Uncharted 4 got delayed.
Yeah. You promise a date and then they push it back and then people get disappointed, and so they're just. I think the video game industry is in this phase where they're just kind of we'd rather keep it vague.
Yeah, which is nice, but when you have an entire weekend of vague, it can be a little frustrating.
Right.
We saw a lot of awesome stuff this weekend. Have no idea when we're going to be able to get our hands on it.
Exactly.
Apart from this weekend. So
they did give us a lot of windows though, and I think I'm okay with the window. When they say 2018, when 2018, early 2018. I'm like, okay, I could deal with
Q1, Q2. Yeah. Speaking of PSVR, we also saw a trailer which started off saying it was very serious. It said this is a very serious game.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's called Accounting Plus. This is from Squanch Games, who Justin Roiland is a part of. Justin Roiland, one of the minds behind Rick and Morty. And I started watching it thinking, is this a strange, bizarro nightmare from Rick and Morty? And then Justin Roiland popped on the screen. It's like, oh yeah, it actually probably is.
I had no idea what it was. I just thought it was really...
It's quite crass.
That's what I was about to say. It was crass. And it's
not for children.
Not to break off on a weird tangent right now, but it's funny because the Game Awards is really trying to set itself up as this award ceremony
Very
it's prestigious. They had a dress code.
Yeah, we had to do business casual.
You know, they're trying to like make us the world say, look at us, we're legitimate. We are a legitimate form of entertainment. And we're not just games. We are for all sorts of people. And and I really like that they're trying to do that. I like that they're trying to be something, you know, maybe not exactly like the Golden Globes or something like that, but something, you know, more classy like that. And, you know, there's things that happen like this Accounting Plus game that come through and just kind of rubber band you right back into reality about what video games are.
Because video game folks video game people kind of dwell in these two worlds where we're always constantly fighting for legitimacy, but also we're the rebel, do whatever we want, say whatever we want group too.
Right.
And there you can feel that tension a little bit in the Game Awards where it's like, this is a legit award show, but here's a trailer with a whole bunch of cussing and sex jokes.
Yeah. And so I don't know, I thought it was odd. You would think that, I just think that if you're really fighting for that image, maybe you wouldn't show a trailer like that. I don't know. Just me.
Teach his own. Really exciting things. Probably my most exciting thing to have experienced on Thursday. Although it was exciting and then a little bit of a letdown at the same time.
I loved it. I loved everything about it.
This is a teaser from Software, which is the studio behind the Souls games, behind Bloodborne, and even earlier than that, the Kingsfield series and the Tenchu series.
Yeah.
Which I kind of learned because coming off the end of this trailer, there's been a lot of speculation about what it was. 30 seconds at most of,
if that,
20 seconds of some sort of device that's tense.
It looks like a bone with like a rod through it, and then there was like some banding or like rope around the...
I thought it was actually like a tendon. It was kind of gnarly, but I think it's actually a rope that's been bloodied or something like that. That tightens, and then, well, in the background of this, you also see some writing in traditional Japanese, and then also you've got some traditional Japanese music going on. But then you have the phrase, "Shadows die twice."
Right.
And then the From Software logo. So not a lot to go on.
They didn't even give us a date on that one. They didn't even give us an idea. No, like 2020, nothing, just...
Yeah. Jeff Keighley, the mind behind the Game Awards, said, and that's all you get. And it really felt that way. It was like, this is just to let you know that we're doing something, but it's probably really far off. And being that their last game, Bloodborne, or not the last game, second last game, Bloodborne was a PlayStation exclusive. My hopes were up that we would see a little bit more this weekend going into the PlayStation
experience, but we didn't.
No dice. So something is coming from Software, whether it's Bloodborne 2 or it's just something completely.
I really don't think it's Bloodborne 2 because I think that they would have said something
different.
at PlayStation if that were the case, you know.
Right, because the Souls games, the rest of the Souls games are multi-platform, so it's not necessarily worth it for Sony to make a big deal about this game. They'll support it, of course, but yeah. So
next up, we saw a very interesting trailer. I liked it. It was very, very stylized, very. I don't know what you call it. Like it was very cel shaded, very cartoony, but also very like stylized, and I liked it. And it was these women, basically,
spelunking.
I would say tomb raiding, really more. You know, kind of like
Spatooming.
Yeah, in this Egyptian-like tomb, I guess you would call it. And we found out that it was this game called In the Valley of the Gods, and we found out it was developed by the people who made Firewatch, which that was interesting.
Campo
Santos. Campo Santo?
Yeah, singular Santos.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't finished Firewatch, but it's got a very awesome look and feel to it. They're really good at storytelling.
Yeah.
Very good at atmosphere, and so the game kind of had this very cool feel to it. They didn't really tell you much, even though it was a pretty long trailer. I felt like it was a long trailer. I felt like it was very meaty, but
one of the longer ones of the night, probably.
It did a lot of. It showed you a lot of. I guess you would call it gameplay, you know, because that was one of the things about Firewatch is there wasn't a lot on the screen. You know, it's not much of a HUD.
Right.
So yeah, I assume it was gameplay, but it looked really cool.
Looked like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't touched Firewatch. It's on my list of things to play. It came out in this time a year or so ago where we're seeing a lot of those walking simulators, a lot of games where you are really just kind of exploring and walking and interacting with the environment. So it looks awesome. I love those games. Love what I've seen of Firewatch. Like I said, I haven't played it, but happy to see that they're doing well enough to have kind of another major production under their hands, which is cool. We also saw a little bit of Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was up for Game of the Year.
That was awesome. They did a thing where the screen came up and there was was it the game director?
I think so.
Yeah, the game director was actually dressed up as Link, and he pulled a sword out and was waving it around.
Yeah.
And there was mist on the stage, and it looked awesome.
Spotlights that 4 or 5 of them triggered the rising of the scrim that was in front of him, and it was kind of weird because nothing happened after that.
Well, they announced stuff for Zelda.
That was after. That was a little bit after.
Yeah.
So this was this long theatrical thing, and then this is kind of funny. Yeah. Cool shadow drop too. So a new piece of DLC is coming. It's called the Champions Ballad.
And the place went nuts because they announced that it was available that night, and people just went, "Oh my gosh!"
Which is cool. Which is really cool.
That was really awesome.
Companies do that because, like we were talking about with release dates, like there's no wondering when it comes out. Of course, when that happens,
right?
You get this new piece of content, and then boom, you can access it immediately. That's really cool when that happens. I don't even have a Switch. I really want one, but I've heard Breath of the Wild is really great. Nintendo's had a really good year, fun year.
Right after that, they had another announcement that kind of made the crowd lose their mess. They announced that they're bringing back Soul Calibur. And
this series has been around for a long time.
Soul Calibur 6 was coming, and the crowd really went nuts over that one. I don't think they've made a Soul Calibur game
since PS2. I think the last one was PS2.
I think it was more recent than that. It was more recent than that, but it's been a while. And
it was the one that had Darth Vader and Yoda in it, and then had console-specific extra characters in it, which I'm assuming will probably happen again.
Right.
But that was I don't know much about Soul Calibur, but the thing about it I've seen before is that sword with the eyeball in it. Looks like something out of Resident Evil.
Right.
I don't know if that's the Soul Calibur, but maybe the sword puts on the tournament. We should do a segment often where we just try to guess what a game's about that neither of us have played or have any clue from just judge from a trailer.
I've played some Soul Calibur games before. I'm not sure where the name Soul Calibur comes from or anything like that. I'm just, someone handed me a controller and said, "Here, fight me."
I'm sure it's about the eye sword.
Fight me, bro.
The eye sword
bro.
is the Soul Calibur. I'm gonna get so much rage-inducing. This is a bad idea. The internet can't be a hostile place.
Anyways, needless to say, Soul Calibur 6 is coming.
It's coming.
And people got crazy about it.
They did. Speaking of crazy, that was a bad segue, but I don't know what else to say.
Well, speaking of it.
Right, there's a 50 versus 50 mode coming to Fortnite, which is a game by Epic Games. Looks really fun. It's a little bit of a tower defense game.
Have you followed Fortnite at all?
Not a ton.
I remember the original trailer for it was these...
It took a long time for this game.
Oh yeah, long time. And this was probably 3 years ago maybe, but they came out with the trailer where these very unique characters, I would say unique, very unique kind of characters, very cartoony type characters, were saving this family that was getting they're being attacked by zombies or something like that at a burger place. Do you remember this?
No.
They're being attacked by zombies or something at a burger place, and they all come and they sit there and hold down the burger place and save this family until they can be rescued, and then they move on from place to place and do this. And there's 4 characters, and they're all very big personalities and big characters and very cartoony. And then this game Battlegrounds PlayerUnknown came out, and it was this kind of what is it, 100 people?
I think it's 100.
I think it's 100 players online, all fight each other.
We know a lot of stuff.
I'm a little behind on what's hot right now. I think I'm playing Shadows of Mordor right now, and that game came out, what, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
So I'm a little behind right now. But
we're slow moving.
I just got a PS4 earlier this year, so I'm playing catch up. But this game, Battle Unknown Players Grounds.
That's the technical title.
There's 100 people.
TM at the end of it.
They all fight each other until the last man standing wins.
Right.
And it's supposed to be crazy, and like as the battles go on, like the boundaries of where you could go shrink until like it kind of forces you to be like basically, I guess, in the same building or something like that. And this game, Fortnite, said that's a really good idea. We're gonna copy that.
Yeah. A little controversial.
But you know what? I mean, it's an idea. It wasn't trademarked. They put their own spin on it. I heard they did a fantastic job with it. I haven't played it myself, but you know, they put their own spin on it. They put their own way of doing it, and I've heard that was a huge success in and of itself. And so the Fortnite's been super popular because of it. And you know, because of that, they came out with a new game type, basically, where they said, well, that was cool, 100 players, everybody versus themselves. Let's make it team-based, 50 versus 50.
Yeah.
And they added in a whole lot more of this kind of like fort building and stuff like that. It seemed like
space building in it. There seems to be all sorts of wacky power-ups and stuff.
Yeah, like you could build a ramp to get over the walls into their base, and like and I was watching people play it this weekend, as a matter of fact, at the PlayStation event, and it was a big hit there. But they were, when they went to go to build something, they pull out these like blueprints, and just like stuff would just appear in front of them as they were building it. Yeah. So it was very fast-paced, very cool. I'm looking forward to downloading that.
So another thing we got to see was President of Nintendo America, Reggie Fils-Aimé, came out and talked about Bayonetta 1 and 2 coming to Switch, which is really cool. Bayonetta is a series that's been around for a little while. The first one was on a lot of platforms. Second one, Zeke mentioned to me, was Wii U only. So they're sticking with Nintendo because they're coming to the Switch, and then they also did the classic press conference, one more thing.
What was interesting how they did it to begin with was they started by revealing that Bayonetta 2 was getting like an HD upconvert and was being brought to the Switch. And then they showed a trailer immediately after that for Bayonetta 1 getting a weird like upconvert. And then they showed that if you buy Bayonetta 2, Bayonetta 1 is also coming with it. So it's kind of like this strange, like they did 2, 1, and then they did this other reveal that Bayonetta 3 was coming to the Switch exclusively.
Yeah, and it was funny because the host of the show acted like he was going to end it. And in terms of press conference or award show banter, it was kind of cheesy, but not super cheesy. Mm-hmm. He said, well, wait, I've got one more thing to say. Of course, showed the trailer for Bayonetta 3, which is cool. Exclusive to the Switch.
Right.
Yeah. And then, speaking of people that was exciting to be in the same room with, we got to see Hideo Kojima came out and talked about his new game, which he's been teasing for a while now. Not really teasing, but showing in some form or capacity, which is Death Stranding, and it was something.
It was something.
We're not really sure what's going on with that game. It stars Norman Reedus, who was going to be in Silent Hills with him, and when he was working with Guillermo del Toro and Konami on a newer version of Silent Hills, but that got canceled, and Kojima has had this kind of long breakup with the studio that's made him famous, and also a lot of history with the Game Awards because he was supposed to be there when all this drama was happening. Got an award, wasn't able to come, and then he was kind of had a coming out party to the world almost a couple years ago at the Game Awards, and everyone gave him a standing ovation, and now he's here again talking about Death Stranding. So starring Norman Reedus as somebody,
part of some kind of like an organization or something.
A unit, that is fighting shadow creatures. Maybe not even fighting, but it seems like they're trying to protect this child. There's a baby in a few of the trailers that is sometimes inside Norman Reedus, sometimes inside of a glass case.
Yeah.
Which I like to think of as a glass case of emotion. The baby is wise beyond years because it can communicate by giving a thumbs up, and it seems to know that it's doing this. Mm-hmm. There's also another unit that's chasing this baby down, possibly. There's creatures, there's mud people. What's your take on it, Zeke?
I have no idea what was going on in that trailer. I mean, it was just it was nonsense, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely designed to maybe even confuse you, to definitely intrigue you into talking and being curious about this game.
I mean, we know that Hideo Kojima is he's kind of obsessed with like giving people hints and clues and stuff that maybe they don't even know that they're getting. He'll wear like a t-shirt that'll have a picture of something on it, and it's totally telling you what his next game is going to be about, but you don't know that. I mean, most people don't know that. And so he's all very into kind of like creating things with his own Easter eggs, kind of a...
which he only gets.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure that's what this trailer was. I mean, it was, it's just was weird.
It's Kojima. It's unique and strange, and I'm sure it will be an interesting game to play.
Right, yeah.
Another thing we saw, something I'm really interested in, is a game called Witchfire. Now, this is a game that when it started playing, its trailer started playing, I immediately thought of this game called Hellraid, which is a game that was announced a long time ago by the folks that were working on Dead Island and Dead Island Riptide, which are games that we like and really enjoy playing. And Dying Light is another game in that kind of genre.
Right.
But it's not. This wasn't Hellraid. This is something else. It's called Witchfire. It started off with another really funny trailer, looking very slow as you're kind of wandering through these crumbling castles and these landscapes. It says from the creators of Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which is a mystery / kind of walking simulator type game. And then you get to this creature, this golem, and he comes alive, and you pull out a gun and just start going to town on it. It says also from the creators of Bulletstorm, which is just a very family-friendly game that you should totally get. But no, it's a very irreverent, loud, kind of boisterous action game. So it started slow and got ramped up and got really exciting. And, so I'm excited about this. It looks pretty cool.
Looks interesting, that's true.
Yeah, you're fighting with guns and maybe some other type of weapons, of course, too, melee weapons probably.
Right.
But you're fighting like a D&D monster manual group of things like skeletons and goblins and stuff, golems, that kind of thing. So it looks cool. Something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah. After that, we got another trailer for Dreams, Media Molecule's new game that they're coming out with. It's been a long time in the coming. A long time in the making. They revealed this game back in 2012. Whenever they revealed that they're making the PlayStation 4.
Yep.
So these are the people who made Little Big Planet. It's this game. It seems like this new game's another one of those. They're trying to keep in line with their whole play, create, share kind of theme that they have. Their kind of motif that they have with their games.
It's kind of the brand of what they do. You know what you're getting with these games because they're on the surface they look like more of a linear game, a platformer, or a story-based game even. But there's definitely more going on with Media Molecule titles.
Right. Yeah. I noticed also this trailer. It's so. We saw Dreams this weekend and really got to see what it was, and I really don't think that trailers do this game justice. You can see a trailer and they'll show you, like some gameplay elements, or they'll show you creation tools, and you just don't really understand what it is. And I don't think that trailers can do this game justice. We actually saw this game in action, and it's basically Little Big Planet times 10. I mean, it's just to the next level. Little Big Planet was a game where you You play through this game. It's kind of like a two-dimensional, like Mario type game, and then they give you tools, and you can create levels, and you can go crazy and create levels. The second game they came out with, they gave you more tools, where you could create like different little like games, and you could create like a soccer game, or have a race car game, or like a shooter game or something like that. And they gave you more tools. And this one seems like it's that, but like I said, to the next degree, where the tool set that they're giving you is just insane. I mean, it's really exciting to see what they're doing with this game. And I still don't think that this trailer did it any justice at all.
Yeah. It's another confusing trailer. There's a bear, maybe a teddy bear. There was an older kind of African American gentleman who was in like a film noir setting, and space type stuff too, or sci-fi stuff. And yeah. I do think that this trailer did give me more of a sense, and I think that it did a good job of giving me a sense that this game is also going to be, it's going to give you the tools to create video games more than just levels, and pretty much create whatever you want. Even down to the details like the music. The most impressive thing to me, we were talking to some folks, and I stopped mid-sentence because I saw the developer up on the booth at PSX tweaking the music of this thing he was creating, and you basically can create a GarageBand type music editing software within Dreams, to the point where you could even drag and drop different beats and different parts of your soundtrack, and it was just mind-blowing to see that this is all contained within this one thing, which makes it all the more understandable why it's really hard to know what you're getting.
Right, exactly.
Why it was so confusing for such a long time.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, we had to sit there for probably a good 15, 20 minutes just to like grasp this concept. And their setup was awesome at the PlayStation Experience. They kind of had this little amphitheater of beanbags set up where they had all these beanbags, and there were a lot of people there who just, I don't know if they were necessarily there for the game as much as they were there to just chill out and relax in these huge beanbags, but they had this like amphitheater with a big screen set up and a little stage, and there was just a guy there just creating levels, and he was literally had his character climbing up this like mountain that he created, and then he took this creative tool and zoomed out and literally just like copy and pasted like 20 of those mountains, and it's mind-blowing the things that you can do with this game. And
they made it look easy too. It looked
it looked like
simple to do these things.
Yeah, and he was creating his own musical sounds, and he pulled up another music window inside the music where he was like bending the pitches and putting in specific drum tones and things like that. I mean, it's gonna be incredible, the things that you can do with this game. But once again, like, I don't think that a trailer can do it justice, and I don't think that this trailer did it justice. And I think that the game's kind of getting a bad rap ahead of time, where this people are like, oh, it's just another trailer for Dreams, where I don't know what's going on, but I think it's going to be amazing when it comes out.
Yeah, it looks impressive. So we also got to see a little bit of A Way Out, which is a new game from the folks behind Brothers, which is a game you've championed for a long time.
Right, yeah.
Zeke. And this game features two characters, and it's a game designed for co-op, and specifically played with two players. I don't even know if you can play this game by yourself.
Actually. It didn't seem like it. No, I think they kind of indicated that you'd either have to play it with somebody with you or somebody online.
Yeah. So much like Brothers, there's this kind of interlocking narrative happening between these characters, but this looks much the way that Dreams is Little Big Planet expanded. This is kind of Brothers expanded, where you have these two characters that are working through problems, and they're prisoners. They're trying to break out of prison and also maintain their freedom after this breakout.
And they both complement each other in weird ways, where one would be better at something that the other one was not as good at.
Right. Yeah, we saw that where one of them could maybe talk their way through something, where the other guy would be more of a muscles approach, where he would get into a fight, or
very brains versus brawn.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like I said, it's bigger and better even than kind of their previous work, where they're trying to do this idea even to a bigger degree, because it looked like the characters would be in separate places even.
Right.
As Brothers, you're kind of along this path together. But there was one scene where I remember one of the characters was like with his daughter at his house playing guitar, and the other one was somewhere maybe at his home apartment or something. So it looks really fascinating and kind of it looks like a cool idea.
Yeah.
Be cool to see where he goes.
You ready?
Yeah. Why don't you give me the gun?
I say we do this the fast way, man. Just in and out.
I say we do this the easy way. Let's not make a scene.
Nobody moves! Stay calm!
So we also got to see a little something called GTFO.
Yeah, I love that name. That name is great for this. It seemed like what this game. It seemed like it perfectly described what this game was. It's from the people who made the Payday games, which
That's right.
they were excellent games. I love the Payday games. Payday games are Payday 1 and Payday 2 were about these kind of like a heist game where you would get together a group of people. And you could play them online multiplayer with other people, and you would go to like rob a bank, and you would have to like hold off, the police while the drill would drill into the safe or something like that. And the second game expanded it even more than that. And so this game was made by those people, the same company that made the Payday games, and it seems to be like kind of this. You're in a squad of people, and you're trying to escape from what looks like a bunker of some sort or a silo or something like that, and you kind of would get to like a door and have to drill out the door or wait for it to open and set up these like turrets and things, and pretty much have to like hold off until like those people would come. And those kinds of games, some people hate horde mode games, some people like them. I think they're really intense. I tend to like them. I think they're pretty fun, but this seemed to be definitely a very horde mode focused game where you're just fighting up hordes of guys as you're waiting for something to happen so that you can progress in the game. And I thought when they revealed the game after, like, the name of the game last, and when they did, I think everybody kind of chuckled because it was a very apt name, or very appropriate name for the game.
I think something like Evolve or even Left 4 Dead, it kind of had that vibe.
Left 4 Dead, I could see a Left 4 Dead.
But you were fighting these zombies or creatures, whatever they were, but then it also seems like you might be facing some much bigger entities. Because at the end of the trailer, you see this tentacle come down and grab the camera and kind of pull you out. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
After that, they revealed the Metro series is getting a new game called Metro Exodus. The Metro games are based off of a series of Russian novels. Called Metro 2033, and basically the premise is that the world gets destroyed in this nuclear warfare, and the people of these Russian cities have to go down into the subway and basically survive down there where there's no, or less nuclear fallout.
There's no one out there, Artyom. No one to help us. No one to hear us.
The first two games seemed to focus on like all the mess that was going on down in the subway, as life was pretty crappy down there after this thing, after the event, and there's mutated creatures going around the surface. It's still tons of nuclear waste up there. I know that there are parts where you go out and into the wasteland and you have to put on like a gas mask, and there's Geiger counters and stuff to keep you safe. Yeah. And you can only spend a limited amount of time out there. This game seemed interesting because it seemed like the main character was kind of wanting to spend time outside there, kind of exploring the surface world. And
it looks like they're kind of searching for something, leaving behind what turns out to be a pretty terrible place to be after all. Even though it's the last bastion of humanity down there in the metro. Yeah. It's pretty bad because humans...
It seemed like, and this trailer seemed to give an indication that, he's looking for a train or something, maybe to get out into the country, some way of getting out of the city.
Yeah, we saw that, a little bit of that in the reveal trailer at E3. He kind of finds this large locomotive, and then you have to get to it in that demo, I think. But I love the Metro games. I've played them on PlayStation 4. I think they came out on computer first, and then they released a 2-pack of 2033, which is the first one, and then Last Light, which is the second game, which are based on the different novels in the series. And then they're good. They're shooters, but they're a little slower paced. There's a lot of action, but there's also a lot of story and unique things. Like the better bullets also are like better currency, so you could like spend bullets.
Yeah, because bullets are currency, because it's like
they're the precious commodity that's left.
Right.
And the Civilization. So it'll be really cool to play another Metro game. I like them.
Yeah. After that, they revealed a release date for the game that I pretty much want to get an Xbox for, called Sea of Thieves. This game looks awesome to me. It's very cartoony, very... it's like a pirate game, kind of, and you're sailing around in a ship with like people online, your co-op partners, and you go looking for treasure. You can get into battles and have ship battles with other ships. You can literally put yourself inside of a cannon and launch yourself over to other ships, and you go to these islands and go hunting for treasure and sunken ships and fight the elements and sharks and skeletons, and it just all looks really cartoony and fun, and just looks like a really fun time.
Yeah, and almost like an MMO. Like, it looks huge.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a ton of players that can interact at any given time. Names over the head. That's a good indication of an online game. But it looks great. Made by Rare. This is the company that's had a lot of success with 3D platformers in the past, like Banjo-Kazooie. And then they produced GoldenEye back in the day.
GoldenEye and
Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark, yep.
Yeah, so a classic company that's still doing stuff, and it's cool to see them making something. Yeah.
Xbox exclusive, because Rare is owned by Xbox. But
Right.
Yeah, looks like a really fun game.
So other cool things about the Game Awards, it was great to be, as we mentioned, in a room with some of these icons, these legendary folks that have made games that we've really loved. And we saw Reggie Fils-Aimé, Hideo Kojima. There were also some other presenters there, like Aisha Tyler, Zachary Levi was there, Norman Reedus, of course.
Ed Boon,
creator of Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
And it's always interesting to see a live show. Like the creator of the Brothers game, A Way Out, was just this live wire and really goofy guy.
Oh, he was crazy.
Went on a rant about EA, which has come under fire a lot recently because of Battlefront, and they're producing his game. So
then he went on a rant about the state of the video game industry as a whole, and just lots of expletives sprinkled throughout. And
fun times for the kids, the whole family.
It was
the host handled like a pro.
Yeah.
But live TV, even though it's not really TV, live internet is always really interesting. So.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't wrangle him in too tight. He kind of let him do his thing, but also didn't really let him go like out of control. So Jeff Keighley did a really good job with that interview, I think. Because that guy was just, man, he was nuts. He was all over the place.
They also give out an Industry Icon Award, which is really neat. And this year, Carol Shaw was recognized. She is a designer of games from the Atari era.
Yeah, Atari 2600. And she designed, her most notable game was the River Raid, which was a smash hit back then. And it was just so unique to see a woman in that industry, you know, which, I mean, even to this day, you know, video games are a very male-dominated industry. There are a lot of women in video gaming. It seems like there are more in that industry than maybe even others, but still, once again, a very male-dominated industry. And they recognize Carol Shaw for her contributions to video gaming, to what it is today. She came out and gave a speech. Super precious woman.
Yeah, really adorable, talking about the iPhones and the Androids, and you could still make games for them.
The classics are still just as fun.
Just as fun to play.
Which I admit is true. I mean, you know, a fun game is a fun game is a fun game is a fun game. I mean, there's just...
You can say that again.
There's just... a good game is a good game. And, you know, it doesn't matter what the graphics look like. And so, you know, she was really trying... That was one of her main... I think the point of her speech was, you know, you could get out there and you could make a game just like I did, you know?
Very easily. Which is why she brought up the Androids and the iPhone.
All right, exactly. But yeah, that was really awesome.
It was cool to see.
I love that the Video Game Awards and Jeff Keighley have decided to start doing that, to recognize people in our industry that I think have, you know, maybe aren't getting recognition otherwise.
Right, and especially haven't for the majority of their life.
Right, exactly.
For doing something that a lot of people would find really special, including us nerds who play video games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's a little bit of what we found exciting about the Game Awards, and especially seeing it in person. We hope you would let us know what you thought was cool down in the comments if you watched it. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and find it thegameawards.com. I think they have it streaming there. And we'll keep talking about LA Video Game Weekend in our next video. Thanks for watching.